Cold can be an individual antagonist, needle-fingered, intimate, but just as often it serves as a society-level threat. Rare are the people who choose to go out into a freeze unsheltered. Much more often, the cold comes to us. You don't have to think back far for an example of this. In 2021, a series of disastrous winter storms hit the US, and many areas saw huge numbers of people lose power. Texas, most infamously of all, had an almost complete breakdown of its electrical grid during its coldest period in living memory. But it was not, as a point of fact, unprecedented. 10 years earlier, a series of blizzards caused a series of similar rolling blackouts across the state. Recommendations made by experts on how to properly winterize and avoid further catastrophes were subsequently ignored by the state's leaders. And then a decade later, it happened again. Now, to someone who lives further north, the temperature during Texas's freeze may not seem that cold. It almost never dipped below zero. The absolute chilliest days wouldn't be anything unusual in Minnesota or Maine. But of course, the ability to withstand cold on a societal level has little to do with individual toughness, and the numerical temperature matters much less than the resources a place has put into withstanding it. Texas's collapse is instead a reminder that the cold will find the weakness at every point of infrastructure, force open the cracks that can otherwise be ignored. Many of the deaths in Texas weren't from simple hypothermia, but the carbon monoxide poisoning that resulted from improvising home heaters or even fires that spread from never-before-used fireplaces. Water pipes burst, streetlights blackened, people were forced close together in shelters despite the ongoing presence of a global pandemic. Much like COVID, the cold exposes the vulnerabilities in our systems that were always present and exposes the inhumanity of the people who profit by ignoring those vulnerabilities. And when I look at Texas, I don't see a freak accident, but the beginning of a trend. Summers are going to keep getting hotter and winters will keep getting colder, and the building blocks that make up our society are fundamentally not prepared for the climate hell that we're staring down the barrel of.